Look at this. Only 33% of voters in the state of New York want to re-elect Kathy Hochul, with 57% preferring someone else. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and I hope everyone is having a great day. I'm having a great day myself. And before I get into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and of course, join the channel today. These are all great ways to support the daily content, but enough of the promotional stuff. Let's get into it, because Republicans have great news out of New York. Yeah, that's right. The state of New York, which has been trending to the right in recent years, but still is a relatively speaking Democrat state. We have a brand new poll from Siena College, and well, look at this. Should Hochul be re-elected? The governor of New York, all right? She's a Democrat, not a Republican, not anything like that. She's a Democrat. Look at this. Only 33% of voters in the state of New York want to re-elect Kathy Hochul, with 57% preferring someone else. Yeah, that means only a third of voters in New York supports Kathy Hochul, at least on paper. Like, obviously, a chunk of these prefer someone else's. These are Democrats. But the fact is, only a third of New York voters want to re-elect Kathy Hochul. This is bad. This is DEFCON 1 for Dems. It is so bad for Democrats that Republicans could actually win this race. I imagine saying that just 5 years ago. I mean, 5 years ago, this was a Biden plus 20 state. But then ever since 2020, there's been something happening in New York, whether it's 2022, where Kathy Hochul only beat Lee Zeldin by 6.5%, but everyone said, okay, this was a fluke. Lee Zeldin's a strong candidate, and Kathy Hochul is very weak. It was a one-off occurrence, and that's that. Well, then 2024 happened, and Trump lost the state by only 12 points. Guys, at some point, this is not just a fluke. That's a 10-point shift in just 4 years. And it seems like every single day, New York continues to get more and more Republican. So it's getting so bad for Democrats that I'm starting to think that, yeah, if things swing our way in New York even more, we could actually flip the New York governorship. And I know that sounds crazy, but guys, just 4 years ago, or I should say 2 years ago, Kathy Hochul won by only 6.5. And I know it was Lee Zeldin who's a strong candidate. And you could argue that at the time you had Andrew Cuomo, who just resigned. He was not popular, and Kathy Hochul was kind of brought down because of him, which fine. Okay, I understand a small shift. Like, okay, instead of losing by or winning by 20 or 25, you win by 10 to 15. That's not what happened here. It was within 7 points. And in 2024, Trump did like 10 to 12 points better in New York. And even the Senate races swung Republican, the House races, basically everything is swinging heavily Republican, especially in New York City. So at this point, it's not a fluke. If this was a one-off occurrence, fine. 2022 was a fluke and that's it, but it's not. Nearly every single election since 2022, it's clear that while they're not doing as good as Lee Zeldin, which is kind of obvious, I mean, Zeldin, he did an amazing job here. Like, okay, Trump lost the state by 11 or 12, but compared to 2020, that is a substantial shift to the right. So I don't think it's a fluke anymore. I don't think this is just a 2022 thing. I think this is a long-term trend happening in New York. And I'm starting to think that Democrats, they're starting to get a bit worried here. Like, I don't think this is just a one poll that people can ignore. No, you have Richie Torres, who's a progressive Democrat, and it sounds like he's run for governor. It sounds like he's going to challenge Kathy Hochul in the primary. Look what we put out today. Siena asked New Yorkers the following question: would you vote to re-elect Kathy Hochul, or do you prefer someone else? 33% said re-elect Kathy Hochul, 57% prefer someone else. Joe Biden 2.0 is in grave danger of costing the Democratic Party both the governorship and congressional seats in 2026. Yeah, this is coming not from some random person. This is coming from Richie Torres, who a bunch of people have been saying will primary Kathy Hochul. And it's sounding like, yeah, Richie Torres is certainly sounding like he does not like Kathy Hochul whatsoever. He is already attacking her for being unpopular for some dumb shit she said. So you start looking at this race and you realize, wait, she's very unpopular, and you have a progressive Democrat more than likely running. Well, already, you're going to have a shit show of a primary. Even 2022, where she underperformed, she did pretty good in the primary. She got roughly 68% of the vote. Well, this time around, she's probably going to win the primary, more than likely. But it's clear that her popularity has collapsed. Even compared to 22, when she was not even that popular, it's gotten even worse. And the voters of New York, even Democrats, they're saying, enough's enough. We got to get rid of Kathy Hochul. I am not supporting her whatsoever. I'm going to support, I don't know, Richie Torres on the Democrat side. So that's a big problem for Hochul. It's like, she may not even win the primary, but I still think at the end of the day, she is the slight favorite. It's so difficult to topple an incumbent. Even someone like Kathy Hochul, who is unpopular, well, you could still argue that more than likely, she's going to get a majority of the vote, no matter what. Unless something crazy happens where a bunch of Democrats, they support Richie Torres, which could happen. But this is not good for Democrats whatsoever. But what makes it even worse is, it seems like the Republican Party has already found their candidate. Now, personally, I would love Lee Zeldin to run again. I would say, yes, 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 yes. Get Lee Zeldin to run in 2026. But more than likely, that's not going to happen. He is the head of the EPA under Trump, so more than likely, he's not going to run. But it does seem like we already got our main candidate. And I know it's very early, a lot of stuff could change, but I'm already going to say this. Michael Lawler for governor. Now, he's not announced yet, but I give it a 98% chance of him running. Is a possibility he doesn't? Maybe. But Michael Lawler, ever since the election in November, every single day, he has been attacking Kathy Hochul every day on everything she does. She has been criticizing her for everything. And, well, I really believe Michael Lawler's going to run. He is setting up his campaign right now. He's already attacking Hochul for everything. And while Michael Lawler might not be the best on the issues, I still think he would put up a great fight. I know it sounds crazy, but if he runs a good campaign in 26, Michael Lawler's the type of Republican to win New York. He is. Now, is he the best on the issues? Of course not. But I give Michael Lawler some credit. He's not god-awful. He's not F tier. And considering the district he's in, which it has swung more Republican in recent years, but it's still one of those districts where, yeah, you have to be a bit more of a moderate Republican, but he's not like, you know, a Liz Cheney type. He's not completely god-awful like someone like Liz Cheney or Adam Kinzinger. But Michael Lawler, I would 100% support, and I believe that he would be able to get the race very close, especially against Hochul, which that's a problem for Dems. What do you do here? You take the risk with Richie Torres, who, yeah, he might win the primary, but when you usually primary out incumbents like this, it tends not to go well. But at the same time, Kathy Hochul is so unpopular that do you run the risk of running her again? And she could underperform so badly that not only do you lose the governorship, but like Torres brought up, you're talking about some House races that could flip if Kathy Hochul does awful. I mean, this primary is not looking good for Dems, no matter what they do. You pick Kathy Hochul, you run the risk of her being so unpopular that she could actually lose the state of New York to Michael Lawler, who I think is run a good campaign, and I really believe is the de facto nominee. You might have some Republicans run, but I don't really see anyone being opposed to Michael Lawler outside of a select few. So Lawler's not going to really worry about that much of a primary whatsoever. At least he shouldn't. But on top of that, if you take out Kathy Hochul, you run the risk of, yeah, you took out the incumbent. But historically, at least, when you take down an incumbent like that, especially a governor, well, you can underperform. You tend to have underperformances, which in the state of New York, do you want to run that risk? I mean, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. You run the risk either way. I honestly have no clue what Dems should do here. like, Torres would probably be a slightly better candidate than Hochul, more than likely. Just for the simple fact that he's not as unpopular as Kathy Hochul is. But at the same time, what do? Like I said, it's damned if you primary her out, and it's damned if you don't. Which one do? If Republicans are smart, they hope and pray to God that they have an absolute shit show of a primary where it's down the wire, it's within 1,000 votes, there's like 15 recounts, and pray that Michael Lawler gets like 80% of the vote. Because in that scenario, well, Democrats, they have a divided primary, she's already unpopular, and it could divide the field even more. So we'll see what happens. Even then, there might be a third-party candidate for, like, the Working Families Party, which would hurt Hochul. I mean, this is one of those situations where Democrats gotta be careful and figure out, who do you run here? Did you just force Hochul not to run? Do you just get behind Torres? Do you ram through Hochul in the primary? I honestly don't know. It's one of those races where I can see an argument for both sides, you know, taking out Hochul than, you know, not taking her down, but at the same time, I see the issues with both. And quite frankly, I don't know. We'll see what happens, because the primary will be in a couple of years at this point. I mean, it's what? It's not even 2025 yet. We're going to have a primary in 2026, so a lot could change. But if you're Democrats, you don't want to see stuff like this. You don't want to see 33% of New York voters saying, we want to re-elect Kathy Hochul, but 57% saying, we want someone else. That's not good. Especially in New York. You're a Democrat and you only got a third of the vote. It's like, yeah, that's not a good sign. That's a sign that a bunch of Democrats are not happy with you. Not just Republicans or even independents, but you probably have a chunk of Democrats saying, we are done with Kathy Hochul, which, like Torres says here, this could be Joe Biden 2.0, where she just falls off the map and does so bad that she drags down every single Democrat. It's a disaster. Will that for sure happen? Again, a lot could change. But if Republicans run Michael Lawler, if Democrats really have this primary, which it may not happen. Maybe Democrats, they say, screw it, let's not risk it. Everyone get behind Kathy Hochul. Which it could happen, but even then, she's unpopular. And Michael Lawler already is running a good campaign despite not announcing yet. I honestly, it's one of those things where Democrats, they gotta make a tough decision. Now, if Republicans, they better not have a primary, because this is a golden opportunity to actually do something in New York. Not just to get it within 5 points, but you're talking about a state that was Biden plus 20 a couple years ago, that was Harris plus 12 in 2024, that could possibly flip in 2026. Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I still think Democrats, they are favored here, but things are not looking good for them. I mean, this is not a good situation for New York. I mean, we're not talking about Pennsylvania or, like, Michigan. We're talking about the state of New York, a state that's been Democrat for decades now, which should tell you everything, by the way. If they're struggling here, I mean, they're in deep trouble. I mean, they're in deep trouble in New York. They could be in deep trouble in New Jersey. This is not good for Democrats anywhere. This is not a good situation whatsoever. You're screwed either way. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. And Republicans, they might grow a brain and realize, wait, get behind Michael Lawler, give him his support, his money, whatever, and win. Win this election, because this is their best opportunity in decades. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.